Welcome to the Florida Man vs. the World YouTube channel. I wanted to make a vlog off the cuff. I'm probably going to write about this, but I did want to document my thoughts in a quick manner, in an efficient manner, because I went to Epic Universe in Orlando, Florida. As you'll see my hat, Donkey Kong Country from Super Nintendo World. I bought this hat as a memento. I thought it looked pretty cool with the contrast between the yellow bananas and Diddy Kong and on the black of the hat. Why did I go to Epic Universe? I always wanted to go to Epic Universe. I thought I was going to do so eventually in the summer. This is the first time in 26 years that a major theme park has opened in the United States, Universal or Disney. The last time was 1999 at Universal's second theme park, Islands of Adventure. The last time Disney has opened a theme park in Florida was Animal Kingdom in 1998. And the last time that there was a major theme park opened in the United States was 2001. 24 years ago, that would be Disney's California Adventure at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. So we're kind of in a historical period for someone in Florida, and I knew I had to be there. Why did I go so soon? And first of all, what I'll say is I love the park. Why did I have to go so soon? The reason I went so soon is, first of all, I did not expect it. And I'm seeing Thursday, when it first opened, May 22nd, absurdly long lines. Those are the reports coming out on Twitter. Those are the reports. 5-hour wait times. 5-hour wait times for the new Harry Potter ride, Ministry of Magic, Battle at the Ministry, whatever it's called, in the new Harry Potter land. Yes, there's a new Harry Potter land called Paris in the 1920s, based off the Fantastical Beasts franchise. Yet the Ministry of Magic rides based off of in 1990s London and Harry Potter, and we'll talk about that. I don't have any familiarity with the Fantastical Beasts films, and I don't think many people do. So that initially scared me and told me, you know what, I'm probably going to have to wait for the hype to die down, especially this weekend. Makes sense that these lines are long. It's Memorial Day weekend, and then Friday came. The second day came. And what I saw on Twitter was that the lines were absurdly short. And what do I mean by absurdly short? Like 10, 15-minute waits to some of the newest and best rides in the world, purportedly. Rides like Monsters Unchained in Dark Universe, the Universal Monsters theme land. 10, 15 minutes, the ride that I want to go on the most, Stardust Racers, the premier roller coaster, 10 to 15 minutes, walk-ons, essentially. And Friday afternoon, it was 4 p.m. when I saw this. I was like, man, I might want to get up there. And I thought I should put in the navigation. I could get there by 7:30 from Naples if I leave right now. It could be great. It could be wonderful. And I could buy a ticket, and the ticket was available online, and I couldn't go later because the next week it was sold out until the next Wednesday. And then my senses kicked in, and I realized that was a stupid idea. So I had my normal weekend. I was at home Saturday. I was like, you know what? This park ain't going nowhere. I have a lot of time. Summer's a long time. I'm sure I can get to it later. So what did I do? I went on Twitter at about 11 a.m., as I do, because I'm addicted to checking Twitter. And luckily, I am addicted because it did help me here. Because I saw that they were not just selling tickets in advance. They were selling tickets the day of. And I went online and I saw that there was an opening Saturday. There hadn't been an opening on Friday. It's like, you know what? I'm buying this ticket. I do not know if it'll ever be this short again for the rest of time. For the rest of the history of the park, this might be the lowest wait times in its history, and I have to take advantage of it. So I immediately bought the ticket online, and I immediately booked a hotel, Grand Floridian and Disney World, because the prices were insanely low for the Grand Floridian, because Disney's cutting prices for their hotels and their tickets this summer because of the threat of Epic Universe and Universal. So I went there. I invited some friends. Only one wanted to go at such a quick moment, and I went alone Saturday. I usually wouldn't go on a theme park alone Saturday, but since it was a new theme park, I wanted to scope it out. And my friend came on Sunday. And what else did I do on my trip? I went to on Saturday, Epic Universe, and then because I went to a Disney Resort, Grand Floridian. So I thought I'd take advantage of that and do early entry at a park. I especially wanted to ride Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios, the Aerosmith roller coaster, because that will be closing soon. We don't know when, but I wanted to take advantage of it and go there and see it because it'll be rethemed to Muppets soon. And the Aerosmith ride, I really like it. I hadn't been probably since I was like 8 years old. So I did early entry at Animal Kingdom to go to Expedition Everest because you get early entry by 30 minutes if you stay at a Disney resort. Animal Kingdom opens at 8 a.m., the earliest park that opens at Disney World. So I could get in at 7:30 p.m. And then at 8:30 p.m., sorry, this is a.m., 8:30 a.m., I could go to Hollywood Studios. I'm like, I got an hour to kill. I could probably make it to Animal Kingdom, ride Expedition Everest because the wait times are going to be at Pandora at Flight of Passage, but my favorite ride is Expedition Everest. I did that. I successfully got to Hollywood Studios by opening. And by the way, before I went to Animal Kingdom, I knew my friend was coming up, and I saw that on Sunday there were no tickets available. But they told me on Saturday, guest services, which was telling me the secrets, was that you could buy physical tickets there if you just went up. So what was Universal doing? Why were you able to buy tickets at the park but not online? Universal is deliberately limiting attendance. This is not because the park is unpopular. They're limiting attendance because they want the people who visit for the first time's experience to be so good that they're almost like rose-colored glasses looking back at it, and it spreads via word of mouth. And people like me, who are theme park junkies, go there early. I have an amazing time because I don't have to wait in any lines except for the Ministry of Magic at Harry Potter. And I tell everyone I know, this is amazing. You got to come up here now. The lines are short. And the other reason why is because Florida is technically not in season yet. Most theme parks in the country, think about like Cedar Point up north, close for half the year, but they're open. Memorial Day weekend is probably the peak time to go to something like Cedar Point in Ohio, second to like July 4th weekend, right? So in Florida, our peak is December, November, the winter months, because people don't want to deal with the humidity in Florida. They don't want to do it. So they are waiting, and I think making sure everything works, working out all the kinks for the next few weeks, probably ahead of July 4th weekend. And then attendance will probably dip down a bit in later summer because of the heat. And it'll especially get low in September when everyone's in school. Oh, and the other thing about this time period before July 4th is that even though the schools in Florida have gotten out, kids going to school, they have not gotten out in the Northeast. So like places like New York, I don't think get out until like the second week of June. So families from elsewhere are not going to Orlando. So you're not getting these out-of-state guests. So mostly right now it's going to be in-state guests. The other reason it was not crowded is because annual pass holders for Universal, one of the reasons why those parks get crowded is because annual pass holders can go anytime. And they clog up the park because they go for free because they pay a flat fee at the beginning of the year. They don't go for free because they have to pay it, but they can go whenever they want. Annual pass holders at Universal Studios Orlando have to buy a ticket just like everyone else. They have to pay $200 to go to Epic Universe. And this artificially limits the number of people who can go. And you can't buy a park hopper. So I could not buy a ticket to Epic Universe and also go to Islands of Adventure. However, I could do so if I get a park hopper with Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida and switch between the two. So the lines were very, very low, and I was smart to go. First day I went alone. I scoped it out for my friend, and then I thought I could kind of guide him around the next day, tell him what to do and how he ordered the rides. So I'm going to go through my day, and again, top line is that this is an amazing park. It might be my most favorite park right now. Now, that's recency bias, but still right now, I want to go back. I went 2 days in a row. I would rather go here than any park in America. The park I would go to if I could teleport the most would be Disneyland, Tokyo, Disney Sea, because I hear that's like the best park in the world. But for something in Florida, I want to go to Epic Universe right now. I do. And maybe that'll change, but I've been to all the other parks so many times in my life that they've kind of worn their welcome, and I've rode all those rides a lot. But I wanted to go to Epic Universe. Still right now, I can't wait to go back. and I'm waiting for one of my friends or my family members to want to go with me, because I really don't want to go. Going alone is so sad, and it's fine for the first time because you're seeing everything new, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm collecting all this data, I'm observing it for people that I go with next. So let's do a brief overview of the park here. And then I'm going to show some photos that I took. And as you can see here on Google Maps, this is far away from, like I took the Hard Rock Hotel up here, which is a place that I stayed at last time I went to Universal. Last time I slept at Universal, because I went to Grad Bash for my high school that I teach at a few weeks ago, which is the best experience that one can have at Universal for free, because I get a fast pass at all the rides for free, even Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure. So you're talking about a 5-mile drive on this road called Kirkman Road in Orlando. If you wanted to drive from the normal part of the resort to Epic Universe. So this is going to present a challenge that Universal Studios will have. It'll be fairly difficult, to go and travel between the two parks, because you have to get in a car and go through Orlando. Now, Disney World has an advantage that no other theme park in the U.S. will ever have again, and in the world, it might be rivaled by like Six Flags Qiddiya in Saudi Arabia, but no one has access to the amount of land. Walt Disney bought it in the late 60s for very cheap in Florida, and because of that, Disney World has its own world. You never have to leave property. You can stay on the resort and go to all the parks. And this 5-mile distance seems like a lot, right? But there's 5-mile distances all over the Disney World Resort. Like if you go to Magic Kingdom to Animal Kingdom, it's a very long drive, like 15 to 20 minutes. I noticed that when I went to Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, then the same trip, right? So it seems longer because you're going through normal Orlando. Because look, I go see Taco Bell's, a public storage facility, but Universal expanded this road down here, over here, into this park. And again, that's one of the disadvantages that Universal has that will never be Disney, is that they don't have the magic of a secluded park. And there are reasons why I think I'm starting to be much more partial to Universal Studios after this trip. But they did the best they could to make it kind of a smooth transition. But it's still inconvenient. The bus system is inconvenient. It's very easy with a car to get to Epic Universe, and ironically, it was probably easier for me staying at Disney World to get to Epic Universe than someone staying at the Hard Rock Hotel, because you could take a bus if you don't have a car, and even the Hard Rock Hotel, it's the same amount of time, basically. Maybe it took me 25, 30 minutes, but it's hard to get your car at the Hard Rock Hotel, or you're going from Islands of Adventure and you're in that giant parking garage. Starting at a hotel in Disney World or any hotel off campus was very easy just to get to with the car. And that parking lot at Epic Universe is pretty unrivaled. Everything's really close to the entrance. Now, Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom are pretty good. Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida are terrible in that parking garage before City Walk. And some pretty bad ones, too, are Magic Kingdom and Epcot. You can park at Epcot, but Magic Kingdom, you got to go to the transportation center, take a monorail, and then either take the ferry or the monorail again to get to Magic Kingdom. The trek from Magic Kingdom when it closes back to your car can be a arduous one. So that's a layout of where it is in relation to the rest of Universal. So the first part of the park, I'm going to make sure that I filter this out to get the attractions if I can. I don't know where I can do that. Here we go. Settings, filter out to rides and attractions, because I don't care about anything else. And to be fair, I'm going to tell you I didn't eat any food. Did not eat any food at Epic Universe because I really couldn't, because I'm getting a surgery tomorrow. But I didn't eat any food. I didn't watch any shows. I hate shows. I just wanted to ride all the rides. I care about rides. And the first ride that I go on, and the first land you enter, well, let's go through it. Let's go through a preview of all the lands. And what's good about this is that, it's really fun going to a place, all that's new. The first land going counterclockwise, counterclockwise, The furthest down south is Isle of Berk from How to Train Your Dragon, a dragon-themed land. And these are coming out from a central hub, Celestial Park, which is not based on any IP. It's a story that Universal created on its own, which is great that they did that because a lot of places don't really do that, right? So a lot of theme parks don't really do that. So you have Celestial Park, and there's one ride there, Stardust Racers, which is their premier attraction for roller coasters, and it rivals Velocicoaster in many ways. It rivals Velocicoaster in intensity. It's the same length. The one difference is that the fact that it is a dueling coaster, right? Dueling coaster. So that's the first ride I went on. But the other lands you have, again, I said Isle of Berk, How to Train Your Dragon. There's 4 lands, maybe called World or something. I forget. I don't know all the lore. Some people know the lore, nor do I really care about the lore. I care about the rides and the theming of the parks. Then you have the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. That takes place in a land that's based off the Fantastical Beast films, 1920s Paris. I've not seen any of those Fantastical Beast films, and not many people, I think, have, right? So it's very beautiful, based off of Paris. But strangely, the ride, again, is based off of the Harry Potter books, 1990s Britain. So you have to go through a teleportation to get to your actual ride. Very convoluted, and I'll get back to that later when I talk about this land. Dark Universe, which is the one that I was actually most excited for, in a land called Darkmoor, based off of the Universal Monsters franchise. So we're talking about Frankenstein, we're talking about Dracula, Wolfman, Creature of the Black Lagoon, Phantom, everything, right? The Brides of Frankenstein. You see them all. The properties, these are like century-old properties. So they're kind of timeless. And that's why I think it's a great themed land, because it probably won't get old because it's been around for so long. And finally, Super Nintendo World, another IP that Universal is juicing, and along with Harry Potter, they've now built Super Nintendo World in Los Angeles and the Universal Studios Hollywood and in Japan. Now, this Universal Studios park here, Epic Universe, has another expansion that those other parks don't have. They share 2 of the rides, Yoshi's Adventure and Mario Kart Challenge, Bowser's Challenge, the Mario Kart simulation ride, but they do not have Donkey Kong Country, which is almost like a separate land when you transition through, and they do not have that ride, Minecart Madness, which is a Donkey Kong ride based off of Donkey Kong Country video game. So after we reviewed all these lands, I'm going to show you some of my time here, my time at Epic Universe. So I'm going to go switch my window to photos here, and I'm going to expand this. If you can see this, this is when I entered Celestial Park, and it's a really cool entrance. This is kind of like the Port of Entry Tower, walking through Celestial Park a bit. And first I'll say, look at that. Look at this. Look at this parking lot. It's empty, right? It's empty right now. It's empty right now. It's very low. So I was very happy and excited. Okay. Now, this is Stardust Racers, from what I took of it. This is a very intense ride, and this picture doesn't really do it justice, but you see it from the side of the road. Dueling coaster, very intricate loops. I very much like this ride. Now, initially, it is a launch coaster, just like Velociraptor, very similar to Velociraptor, and you cannot help but to compare it. Now, as you can see, it's kind of a very beautiful area with the vegetation and the shrubbery, and you can see the verdant green of the grass and the bushes as you are riding the ride. It has a few inversions, and the difference between Velocicoaster and this is that it's dueling. Everything about it, if you're not like a huge theme or a huge roller coaster fan, you're just going to get off the ride like, whoa, that's just as intense as Velocicoaster. Universal took away their fan favorite dueling coaster, Dueling Dragons, then became Dragons Challenge once it became Harry Potter, to build Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. And people are very happy with that because Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure is probably the best themed roller coaster in the world. Therefore, it's my favorite roller coaster in the world, maybe my favorite ride in the world. But this is the launch coaster, like Velocicoaster. They bring back dueling coasters. This is based off no IP, which I like. I like that it's based off no IP. Why do I like that? Some theme park fans want no IP for the sake of no IP. They think that it gets old. And that's part of the reason why I don't like it. It does get old. But when I'm rating theme park attractions, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about how long is it going to last? Will it be timeless? And how many people cross-generationally can enjoy the ride? So people from age 10 to age like 70, how many can enjoy the ride? Now, this is an intense roller coaster, so it's not going to be as popular. It's going to be very popular with people like my age, younger, that like roller coasters, and teenagers, but it's not going to be as popular in the park. When the park gets full attendance, I don't think that the wait times are going to be as long because not many people can ride this, but someone who's 70 years old could ride the roller coaster at the Isle of Berk, the How to Train Your Dragon roller coaster, or the Donkey Kong roller coaster, and little kids can ride it too with their family. So that just limits the amount of people that are going to be on Stardust Racers. There's this beautiful comet, and at night, and I wasn't able to ride it at night, which I rode it 3 times, but all during the day. Once on my first day on Saturday, 2 times on my second day on Sunday, and Universal, as Epic Universe, does a great job. I keep saying Universal, but it's not Universal. It is made by Universal. Great use of water. And you can see that with Celestial Park. They're going to have fountains here. I'm going to have better pictures later on. They have a central fountain. That's the centerpiece of the park. Here, you're not using liquid water, but we're using water vapor, mist. You're traveling through the mist, and this is an effect that they use many times. And I think the contrast of the yellow, brightly saturated painted tracks is just beautiful. It really is beautiful, right? Especially at night when I did get to see what it looked like. I did get to see what it looked like with the lighting, but I did not get to ride it, unfortunately. But this is an amazing ride, and I think this is going to age very well. It's not connected to an IP, and it's just Stardust Racers. There's stars that are racing. Pretty simple. And you have this like Art Deco retro theme, which I think is, very attractive. This is the Grand Helios Hotel, and this is me on Saturday. I'm going through what my time was on Saturday. That first ride was Stardust Racers, and I walked onto it. One of the best theme park roller coasters in the world now. I walked onto it. But before I do that, I want to say why I did go on Velocicoaster Sunday night. I paid for an extra ticket at Islands of Adventure because I wanted to compare these rides and go to Hagrid's because there was a weather delay at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. at Epic Universe. So all the rides that I wanted to go on, I've already gone on. I couldn't go on any more rides, and my friend had left. And I thought, there's a weather delay. And I really want to ride Hagrid's and Velocicoaster. If I waited out, I bet I could drive to Islands of Adventure, wait a bit. 8 p.m. I got there and the rain stopped. And it does take a while for the rides to start reoperating, right? Because they have to make sure it's safe. And I was a little bit anxious, like, is this going to work out? I'm taking a big risk. And this is what shows you that my favorite rides, Hagrid's. I thought it was Rise of the Resistance, but I believe in revealed preference. And I rode Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure in April, yet I still wanted to go again. Haven't ridden Rise of the Resistance since July of 2024, almost a year now. But what did I do that night? I already had a park hopper for Hollywood Studios and for Disney World, and I knew that ride was going to be open, most likely, because it wouldn't be affected by rain. I had no reason to know that Hagrid's was going to reopen again. The park did close at 10. I knew I could drive to Hollywood Studios, not pay any extra money, and to be closer to my hotel, and ride Rise of the Resistance and that final ride. And maybe the lines would be so short I could ride it twice, right? But no, I paid for a Islands Adventures ticket that night. I paid extra money to go to a ride that I wasn't even sure was going to run. But I got lucky because when I walked through Islands of Adventure, I saw Hulk running. And what someone told me, it goes like Hulk, They test that out first, and then it goes to Velocicoaster and finally Hagrid's. Because I think Hulk might be the most simple ride system. Hagrid's has the least simple ride system. There's animatronics. I'm not exactly sure. Those launch coasters are probably harder in the water than the lift, like the ones you're just going up straight on, like the Hulk. But I do think that's a launch coaster, right? I don't know much about roller coasters. And I did ride Velocicoaster like at 10:30 p.m. at night, and that is a different experience. It's much better at night, but I'd still say that Velocicoaster beats this park. This park's Stardust Racers. And I know Stardust Racers has the dueling component. And yes, I rode both tracks, and some people want to compare the green and the yellow track, but I think that's kind of stupid. You're not going to notice the difference if you're just a normal theme park fan. If you're there's an inversion top hat pretzel loop, and this one and the inversions are this many degrees, I don't know any of that, and nor do I care. I just want to go on a fun roller coaster. The difference between this is that Velocicoaster, you go over the water, and there's a point in Velocicoaster that you think you're going to fall out of your seat. You're going upside down over the water, and I think that's a cool effect. And even though you get water vapor here, it doesn't beat the effect of going through the water at Velocicoaster or over the water. And I love theming for rides, so my favorite roller coaster is actually Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. And Velocicoaster also has a slight theming for the Jurassic Park. Very good use of a theming and IP. This does not. But I do think Velocicoaster is going to age very well, unlike other roller coasters. People love Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, Disney World, which is based off of Guardians of the Galaxy. And I just don't think that's going to age as well as dinosaurs will. Because even if someone's never seen Jurassic Park or no one's seen Jurassic World, everyone understands what dinosaurs are. Dinosaurs are the same everywhere. Dinosaurs are always going to be popular with kids. There's Velociraptor animatronics in the ride. We understand what dinosaurs are. We do not understand Chris Pratt. If you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, you might be gatekept from that ride. You may not understand it at all. And Thanos and those characters are going to get old. Dinosaurs can't get old. They've been around for 60 million years. We love dinosaurs. We have it since we discovered them, 150 years ago? And this won't get old either, because the concept of stars going fast and comets doesn't get old. So this is going to age very well. This is the Grand Helios Hotel, the luxury hotel that you can stay on site. And if you exit the hotel, the exit goes right into the park, so you don't have to go through the gate like everyone else, all the other plebeians, the proletariat. And the cost of this hotel, I checked, was like $1,500 a night. And I was like, well, what about later on in the year? $800 a night. This is very expensive, right? And I don't know if it's worth, but if you want, you get the best view of a theme park out of any hotel. Disney World does not have an analog to this. Disneyland does in Anaheim. The Grand Californian, I believe, opens into California Adventure. And then at Tokyo, there's a few hotels. I think the Fantasy Springs Hotel, Disney Sea, opens into Fantasy Springs. There might be one at the other park in that resort. There's the water that I'm talking about. And I believe there's a lot of these domes. There's a carousel somewhere. I did not ride every ride. The only rides I did not ride were the two at Isle of Berk that were not the roller coaster. I did not ride the water ride. I did not want to get wet. And I did not ride what's essentially a carnival ride that spins you around a pole on dragons, Dragon Racers Rally. And I did not ride the carousel. But I think even I've been there for so long, I can give an accurate review of this. But the beautiful use of water in a time where water is getting filled in by cement at Magic Kingdom. One of the reasons I'm starting to respect Universal Studios more, Universal Resort more, than Disney World. Disney World is getting rid of a lot of the things that made it magical in the first place. And I used to love Magic Kingdom, and I still do, but the problem is the magic is going to go away without the beauty of the park. And most of the beauty of the park goes around Rivers of America and the Liberty Bell steamship, and they're filling it in, and the whole park is just going to be asphalt and cement and concrete for a Cars Land. A Cars Land. Cars doesn't age well. I don't think people are going to remember Cars in 10 years. Mickey Mouse ages well. Haunted Mansion ages well. One of the most beautiful parts of the park is when you go through, Liberty Square in Magic Kingdom. And you go in line for Haunted Mansion. You see the water. You see the steamship. It's very beautiful at night. And that's going away. That's going away. And Disneyland in California is pretty much staying the same. But Universal, Epic Universe, in many ways is doing Disney theming better than Disney did. And it makes sense because a lot of the Imagineers have gone back and forth between the parks. Islands of Adventure, which is just, has some Disney elements to it, was built by a lot of Imagineers who were not used to build a lot of the Eisner projects that were canceled. And they went to Islands of Adventure. This is what the portals look like into the world. So the idea is that you go through a portal and there's going to be LED screens around you. This is the first park I went to, or land I went to in the park, besides Celestial Park. They're the first theme land in a portal. And as you can see at the top here, top of the circle, it says, it's alive, about Frankenstein. And each of these lands has one of these mottos that explain what's in the park, right? Not Mario is let's go, like that's what Mario says. And then How to Train Your Dragon is like, we have a lot of dragons and a lot of them. I can't remember the Harry Potter one because it's all convoluted, like magic in the world and our dreams away. I can't remember that one. This is Darkmoor. So Darkmoor is in Dark Universe, is a land that Universal created for this park. It doesn't exist in any IP, but this is where the Universal monsters live. And that is the oldest IP they have, and they haven't used it very well in the past. They do have the Mummy roller coaster, which is a great themed roller coaster, but what about Dracula and Frankenstein and Werewolf and Creature of the Black Lagoon, Gilman? Now they're using it to the full effect because Universal has been associated with horror in the themed genre, the themed industry for a long time because of the success of Hollywood Horror Nights. They're even building a permanent haunted house in Las Vegas at Area 15 near Omega Mart, if you've been there. So Universal loves its horror. So they made a horror-themed land in this new theme park. Now, it's not as scary. There's no scare zones in here because they have to make it a theme park that families could go in. But it is spooky, and this is it during the day. And which ride was I going to at this time? Oh, there's another use of vapor in every part of the park. That's a fountain, right? And they have these little taverns, and I love the masonry work here, even though I know it's fake. And in the background here, you can see our friend Frankenstein Manor. You can see it. And we're going to get up to that. It's the next part I'm going to see. That is Frankenstein's Manor. People are saying that it's like Haunted Mansion of the future, which it really is. But even on the outside, this like Gothic-looking architecture is much better than Haunted Mansion. I mean, this is something that's going to age very well. I think it's kind of timeless, and the monsters are timeless too. They've been around for a while, for a long time, just as long as Mickey Mouse has been there for Disney. This is the entrance here, closer up view, and you can see kind of how massive it is when you go in. You go in through the front gate. It looks like you're entering a manor, right? And they did a really good effect with the stones, showing like kind of like if there's moss or algae or, it looks like it's aged. And then they have trees that are crawling up the side of the wall here, the facade. Very beautiful. But you'll see here up at the top, you'll see these wires and then there's glowing lights because the story here is going to be that there's a great-granddaughter of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein from the movie and the book, named Victoria Frankenstein. In Monsters Unchained, she wants to get control of all these monsters, particularly Dracula. She has everyone else under her control. But when you go in, there's this great mix of old Gothic, Haunted Mansion-style architecture and this new scientific science fiction part. So it's part horror ride, part science fiction ride. And this ended up being my favorite ride in the park. One of my top 3 favorite rides in the world now. And I've only been to parks in the U.S. I've been to Disneyland and Orlando parks. And the other ones would be Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure and Rise of the Resistance, both in Disneyland and Hollywood Studios. Now, this is not as clear of a picture, but as you can see here, you're going through, and I might want to lower the size of my webcam here just so you can see more. You go up one of these stairs eventually through the line, and you see everyone's dressed up and very dour, very similar to how Haunted Mansion and Tower of Terror are in Disney World. There's these beautiful frescoes of, I know they're not like frescoes. It's not Michelangelo in a way. It's a theme park. It's not going to be amazing art. But you have sculptures, you have frescoes here of drapery and skeletons and zombies, and you have this painting at the top of Dr. Frankenstein, Victoria Frankenstein's great-grandfather, right? So they're making their own story, which is really cool. When is the last time that a park has made its own story? I know we're using IP here, but we're using it in a new way. The last time that I can think of would be in Animal Kingdom Expedition Everest. Getting the Yeti. That is not based on any IP. That's 20 years ago now. There I'm in queue at Dracula's coffin. It's open. It's a very good queue, and you can see the mummy here. So there's every creature's going. You see a Egyptian scroll here. Everything's going to be represented here. Now, the first time I went at you can see this is 4:50 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, I did not know that there was a longer queue, and they kind of funneled me into single rider. You have to make sure you don't go single rider on this ride because you need to see the pre-show, which I did not see till later in the night. I'm happy I went at night, but it is the best pre-show that I've seen, probably the most realistic animatronics that I've seen. Now, I didn't take any more. I couldn't take pictures inside the ride, but here's the outside the Mario Land. This is very cute. Mario with the... Let's lower that volume. I don't know if I can lower it, but you see that Mario Land here is very beautiful, very cute, having the coins rotating around in the fountain, right? That looks like it's part of a video game, and that's eventually going to be my favorite land, or at least the land that I think is the most immersive. Then I went to Isle of Berk, the How to Train Your Dragon land. I went outside Super Nintendo World, but I didn't take any pictures yet, or I didn't go inside. I went outside of it. The next part that I've went in was How to Train Your Dragon. Now, How to Train Your Dragon is not a movie that I've seen. I've not seen How to Train Your Dragon, but they do this land well that you don't need to know the IP to appreciate it. Because again, dragons are universal, no pun intended. They're eternal. The idea of dragons are eternal. Anyone can understand what a dragon is. In the same way that Jurassic Park and Islands of Adventure will always make sense. That Jurassic Park River Park, maybe they update the animatronics, but everyone's going to love dinosaurs. And this is going to get to a critique I have of Harry Potter later. And I already made the critique of all the Marvel-related stuff that Disney has done. And there's things, obviously, that Universal has done in the past. Universal went through a period of time where they're using a lot of motion simulators based on IP after Harry Potter, but Fast and Furious Supercharged, Transformers, these are movies that are not going to last in the long run. I began thinking over this trip, maybe the best theme, if you're going to base it off an IP, maybe it's very difficult to base it off of a human actor. Because human actors age. They age. But animations are kind of eternal. Mickey Mouse does not age. And people forget who Daniel Radcliffe is. The last Harry Potter movie was in 2011. That's 14 years ago. I don't know how many kids in 10 years are going to know Harry Potter. But maybe Universal is banking on the fact that millennials and older Zoomers like me love Harry Potter, and then we take our kids. And maybe I'm wrong about the people are exhausted of Harry Potter, because this is the only wait that wasn't a walk-on, essentially. There's Isle of Berk. We have a forced perspective mountain with moss on it. Again, this might be in the movie. I don't really know. I didn't see the movie, which I think might be a good thing, actually, because it made me kind of unbiased to this and see how nice it is. And I really like this park. And again, a use of water. And I think this is going to be the most popular park for families because there's a lot of good family rides. They have the animatronic of Toothless the dinosaur. That is the most interactive animatronic there is in the world. So you got Vikings, and this is really cool because some people have an issue with sight lines and seeing rides from other parts, but this gray track here is going to be Hiccup Wing Gliders, which is their family coaster, which might go 40, 50 miles per hour. It's a little less intense than Hagrid's, but it's a launch coaster. Again, everything's launch coasters, and the story behind this is that Hiccup, it's voiced by Jay Baruchel in the movies, is training you to be be a dragon rider, right? So you're on a dragon. But the effect that's really cool here, again, is the use of water. The use of water is at every part of this park. I showed you Nintendo with the fountain. I showed you Darkmoor with the vapor coming out. I showed you Stardust Racers, Celestial Park. Most places are going to have water. And you go into the water underneath this bridge, this wooden bridge, and you go through mist again, just like Stardust Racers. And I think it's cool that we kind of see Stardust Racers, right, from the side. And it's not very obstructive. Again, this vegetation is going to just age perfectly because it's going to only grow and grow. There's the line for Hiccup Wing Gliders. As you see, 5-minute wait. This ride will have a very long wait once they've reached full capacity. Again, maybe the longest wait besides Ministry of Magic. And one thing I will advise you if you go to this park is in Florida, summertime, our weather's kind of unpredictable, right? It could start raining at any time. Therefore, I would advise you to do all the rides that are outdoors first. Because if you go in the morning, Florida doesn't really start raining until the afternoon. Make sure you get all those rides in first, because there's many more rides that are outdoors than indoors. The only ones that are indoors that wouldn't get stopped with a weather delay are Dark Universe's Monsters Unchained, Nintendo Land's Bowser Challenge, the Mario Kart ride, and the Ministry of Magic ride in Harry Potter Land. Hiccup Wing Gliders, and they use a good cartoon theme here. And one thing that I noticed particularly well, and this is going to come in later in Nintendo Land, making it look actually animated. Not like it looks animated in the real world, but like you are in an animation. That's another good view of the roller coaster. I really love this roller coaster. I think, it's like Hagrid's in theming. I do like Hagrid's better. And that's not because I like Harry Potter or necessarily, but, Hagrid's is something that's going to age well as a Harry Potter IP. If we're going to have Harry Potter IP, because of the use of like unicorns and centaurs and spiders, everyone knows what those are. And you don't need to understand who Hagrid is to ride on a bike and have fun. Similarly, you don't need to know what a dragon is. And this has the best use of animatronics throughout the park. We have dragons in every part of the park moving. You can see, and then going through this water is very cool. Very cool. Now, this is I really liked Owlberg. I really did. I did not go on the flat ride, the Dragons Rally ride, where you just go spin around, because I thought that's not unique at all. I could do that at the local carnival. And I did not do the water ride. It's like a shooting ride, but I don't really like to do water rides unless it's very thrilling, like a Splash Mountain or Dudley Do Rights. Now, I took a picture of the sign, because it's going to lead me into something that I'm going to talk about later when I get to Harry Potter. Now, look at this sign in Celestial Park. So I just got out of the Isle of Berk, and these are kind of directing me to the next worlds I might want to go to. And we see Super Nintendo World. Obviously, we understand Nintendo, and we have a mushroom. And we see Dark Universe, and we can understand Dark Place. There's monsters. But what do they say at the top? Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Ministry of Magic. Okay. That is not the land. That is the ride. What is the land? 1920s Paris from the Fantastical Beasts films, and Harry Potter does not, nor Daniel Radcliffe does not appear in those movies at all. So this is kind of shows us that they think that the land may not age well. I think when they started planning Epic Universe, I believe they announced it in 2019, they thought that the Fantastical Beasts films were going to have a much more success and popularity than they did, and then they did not, right? Because that's one problem with theme parks using new IPs, is that you have to plan well in the future when you start designing these rides. So 6 years in the future, they started planning this, right? And you can't really go back when you start making the plans for 1920s Paris. And they did it very well. I mean, this is also an issue with Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars and Hollywood Studios and Disneyland, is that most of the land itself is based in the canon between episode 7, Force Awakens, and episode 8, The Last Jedi. I only saw Force Awakens. And you're getting a lot of characters that the average Star Wars fan, or at least the average person that visits a theme park, wouldn't know Kylo Ren necessarily, but they know Darth Vader, they know Luke Skywalker, they know Yoda, but none of those creatures appear. So I think when Disney started planning for Galaxy's Edge after they made that $4 billion deal with George Lucas to acquire Lucasfilms. They overestimated how much those movies, that last trilogy, were going to do. Because at the end of the day, you know, these Disney Plus shows might have a lot of viewership. And again, the highest grossing movie in American history within the U.S. gross is still Force Awakens from 2015. In the world's obviously Avatar, but that it shows that it was popular. But a lot of these movies, they kind of like make a high gross and then they kind of you forget about them, right? Think about all the animated Disney movies. The Lion King grossed more in 2019, adjusted for inflation, than The Lion King in 1994. Again, I always think about like in 10 years, 20 years, when I have kids, are they going to know, again, more recognizability with the animated Lion King or the hyper-realistic remake? Lilo and Stitch has already, it debuted, premiered on, you know, this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, has already outgrossed the original Lilo and Stitch. Yet, again, who's going to remember this Lilo Stitch in the future? We're going to think back to the originals. So now here's a good example of a portal. And this is probably the best portal that we had. We have green. We're transporting into Super Nintendo World. And as you can see, you're going through a green pipe, which obviously Mario goes through in the games. And I'll play a little video of what this looked like. I'm not going to do the audio because the audio seems very loud and I don't know how to turn that down. So look, I go in an escalator. You have the little lights on the side. Kind of looks like Space Mountain when you're going up the lift hill. And you are getting transported through the pipe. And why are you going up? Because Nintendo World is going to be 2 leveled, which you'll see in a second. I get up, you get this anticipation. You see nothing right now. We don't see anything. We just know we're in a pipe. And immediately when you walk out, here we go. And that's what, here it goes, right? You walk into Princess Peach's castle. You walk out, immediately transitions, and you're going to start hearing, when you go out in the world, the Mario music. Da-da-da-da-da-da. This is the most stimulating part of the park. The most stimulating part of the park. Let's see if I get the music here. So this is a very kinetic land. As you can see, there's like the Venus flytrap. There's Goombas running around. It's 2 levels. You are getting overstimulated. This is therefore it's the most immersive land. And they painted in such a way that I thought that I was in the video game, or as close as I could be in real life. And you enter through Peach's castle. Now there, all those parts are moving. All these guys, the block guy, I forget his name, the Goombas are moving, the Venus flytraps are moving. Everything, any creature you see here is moving. Those bricks are moving. The power brick is moving. Everything's moving. It's lighting up. This is a very stimulating park. And you can see here, I'm on the 2nd level. And then these are this is a ride that I went on the 2nd day. I did not get to go out on the 1st day. Yoshi's Adventure, which is the people mover, different Yoshis, and you get to see the whole park. That is a fun ride. Even though it's a people mover, it goes like 2 miles per hour. It's like the Dr. Seuss ride in Seuss's Landing and Islands of Adventure. But you can see Yoshi's Adventure, which is the entrance to this ride, and the staircase. And when you go down there, you are completely consumed with the land. Like, you can't see anything else. And it's kind of disorienting, but it's highly stimulating with the music. And there's Princess Peach's castle, which is very cute, obviously. And here we go. I'm going to show some movement here. So you can see the Yoshis moving, and you can see the Goomba moving back and forth, the coins rotating, and the Venus flytrap. This is all over. Again, the use of animatronics in this park is the best I've ever seen. I think it's the best, better than anything Disney has done. Disney's best animatronic that they have is the Na'vi woman and the Na'vi River Adventure in Pandora, the Avatar Land Animal Kingdom. And there are multiple animatronics on multiple rides that beat that out. And Disney World also has a great one, Rise of the Resistance, the use of the animatronics of the Stormtroopers. Now, they don't move much because they're just stationary, but they're not supposed to. But the Lieutenant Beck animatronics, very good. Kylo Ren animatronics, very good. But just the quantity of amazing animatronics. But that's one is great in Epic Universe. It's kind of unmatched. And that's something I'm kind of afraid of for the park because I went the first weekend. It will never be better than this. Why do I say that? Because things are going to start breaking down. Animatronics are going to break down. Animatronics are very complicated machines. And the ride, Monsters Unchained, which is the best ride that I was on in the park. Again, the animatronics are insane on that ride. You're going right up to them. There are times where I got really scared. And I'll go through a YouTube POV of it just so that I can go over it more in detail. Because there's a lot to talk about there that'll be at the end of the video most likely. Everything's moving here. And then I didn't actually go on any rides yet. I went back later to Mario Land because there was like a weather delay or something, and I wanted to go on Minecart Madness, the Donkey Kong ride. I ended up going that later the night on Saturday. Now, this is Paris, which is very nice, right? This rivals Paris in France and Epcot. Very good theming, but the problem with this is the land that's going to age the worst because you go into this land and you're like, wait, what is this? No one knows what this is. No one's seen Fantastical Beasts. No one knows. It's very pretty, right? But it's based off an IP. No one's going to know. And this is the most convoluted park. And not my least favorite ride, but the most disappointing ride that I went on. People are raving about this ride. And it was like, did you go on Ministry of Magic? There are better rides than Ministry of Magic at this park. A great ride is not based off of you spending over $1 billion on it. If you want a high budget ride, Rise of the Resistance is better than this in Disney World, in Hollywood Studios, and Disneyland. And Monsters Unchained is better than this. They are doing too much here to impress you. And I guess go some history in Universal. They became very infamous for using too many screens and motion simulators in the 2010s, getting people sick. And it's kind of like, this is a cheap thing. And even the Harry Potter ride has, you get sick because of the screens are right in your face. And they started turning away from that in 2019 with Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. That uses animatronics, practical effects, and they're kind of went away from that and going to Epic Universe, they've went to full effect of that. And Velocicoaster 2. Velocicoaster is a real roller coaster. It has animatronics. So those two roller coasters, everything that they learned, they basically took all the things they learned about Hogsmeade in 2011, all the mistakes they made, because a lot of that has not aged well at all, especially Forbidden Journey. But the land has aged well. It's very, very cool land. And that was really the first of these hyper-immersive lands that we've seen in the United States. Disney Sea in Tokyo has done that since 2001. But after that began the wars of immersion between Disney and Universal. And after that, Disney made Pandora, which is very immersive in Animal Kingdom. I believe that was like 2016 or 2017. And then Galaxy's Edge in 2019. But you are entering a subway in Paris here. This is a beautiful ride, but it's kind of over the top. You're going to see why. You enter the ride, and you're going to go to what's something called the Flu Network. And if you know what the Flu Network is in the movies, that's one of the transportation systems that kids can use because they can't teleport yet, and old people. And you go through this like green gas in a fireplace or something. You appear somewhere else. That's the classic scene in Chamber of Secrets where Harry Potter messes up his incantation in the Flu Network. Like when he says Diagon Alley, they're going to Diagon Alley and ends up in a weird place where like creepy people are near Diagon Alley. That's a good scene in the movies. Here is Ministry of Magic. Again, I'm going to take off this. This is you go through the portal, and this is what's very convoluted about this ride. Universal, based the whole land off of 1920s Paris, but you teleport through time and space to get to 1990s London, which is the time Harry Potter took place, the movies and the books. I believe, and I've heard what happened, is when Universal began planning for Epic Universe, it's probably it's before 2019, but that's probably when it got real, when they started announcing it. They wanted this to be based off of Fantastical Beasts films, and the Harry Potter parts of the Universal Resort would stay in Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. Universal Studios Florida has Diagon Alley, and Islands of Adventure has Hogsmeade. And they were going to make this Fantastic Beasts, but they realized that they could not spend a lot of money to make a great ride on Fantastic Beasts because people don't know what it is. So this is a huge line, and honestly, like, many people are going to say the best queue in the world. I understand that, but it's almost like too much. I'm like, come on, just put the fries in the bag and just stop trying to impress me. Stop. You could have built 3 amazing rides or built another land with the money you spent on this ride. So this is us going through the Flu Network. that green vapor. Again, use of water. That is use of water. Again, they're using water all the time. The black reflective bricks, and you're going to enter the central part of Ministry of Magic, which you may remember this building from Order of the Phoenix, the 5th Harry Potter movie. It looks very similar to this in the movie. Now, when did that movie come out? That movie came out 18 years ago. And the story of this ride, I really do not like. It's fun. It's going to be fun now. It's going to be fun for maybe a few years. But this movie came out 17 years ago or 18 years ago. And we're bringing back a character, Dolores Umbridge, who I forget the name of the woman, the actress, who hasn't done anything. She reprised her role over 18 years to film for this. It's very grand, very ornate, right? We like it. It's beautiful, maybe. But it's kind of soulless in a way. It's very sterile in a way that Frankenstein Manor is not sterile. So I don't think this is going to age well. And if they say Trial of Dolores Umbridge, average people are not going to know who Dolores Umbridge is. They may know who Harry Potter is, but not Dolores Umbridge. So there's that, like, let's see here. I'm going to show you a cool effect here. Is that you see those offices? Those are moving the whole time. There's the Flu Network. These, black polished bricks. And that is Dolores Umbridge. And the story of this ride is that Dolores Umbridge is on trial in Kingsley Shacklebolt, the Black Horror, written by J.K. Rowling, the black guy that works at the Ministry of Magic, who has the name Shackle in his name, is now the Minister of Magic. Used to be Cornelius Fudge. That was the guy for the most of the series. And it is true that he was in canon the Minister of Magic. I believe in the epilogue of Deathly Hallows, they do say that. But one thing that is not canon, they created a new story for this, where they brought back Dolores Umbridge, someone who was, the character of a very doting mother, an over-dominant mother, abusive mother, and the good character in the movie. But the problem is, no one's going to remember her, and this storyline is almost like retconning the movie and the book for Harry Potter fans. Like, yes, I hate Dolores Umbridge, and we're going to get her and put her in Azkaban, and Kingsley Shacklebolt's going to get her. Like, come on, relax, dude. Like, yeah, that's true in superhero rides, like in the Spider-Man ride and Islands of Adventure. Like, yes, you want to beat the Green Goblin, but that's like all of you want to beat the villain. This is like unnecessary beating up on this woman that has not been seen in 18 years. It's just like, oh yeah, we're beating her, we're getting her. You could have put Voldemort or something. It's something that people remember. There's the offices, and this was a very cool effect because there's a lot of detail here. There's that golden statue of a centaur. You have a thunder effect at the top, and the fans are actually move here. The fans and the details on this ride are very good, and it's almost like the queue is better than the ride in my mind. It was very cool going through this queue. There's Kingsley Shacklebolt. He's the Minister of Magic in this post Harry Potter book world. Again, this is not canon, and you can see some of these, right? You see those fans, and at some of them, there's like papers flying around, and there's the video of her doing her hair. So this is a very cool effect in this ride. There's a goblin. I like the goblins. Grip hook again. And this is a very beautiful part too. Whatever that statue is, probably that's some guy that I don't know who it is. It's a big statue, but it's very sterile and very Blairite of Harry Potter to make the ride a bureaucratic building. Like, imagine if I made a ride based off, this is the Department of the Interior ride with Doug Burgum. It's no different from that. It's a fictional ministry, but it's no different. They have the Ministry of Defense in Britain. That's the terminology, nomenclature they use for their governmental agencies. And you are doing something bureaucratic and following the rules, which is putting away a bad person. Because in Harry Potter, it's all about good and evil, and the good guys win, and we're going to put her in Azkaban. No. Yeah, so that's one thing I'd never really liked about the Harry Potter series, is that the culmination of the whole series is Harry Potter being a good little boy and working for the government and loving the Tony Blair bureaucracy. And that's the best thing you could do, is work for the government and be a little bureaucrat and be a policeman enforcing the rules. You compare that to like Lord of the Rings, where the end of Lord of the Rings, it's kind of a mixed ending, because Frodo capitulates to the temptation of the ring at the end, but out of sheer coincidence, you have Gollum is the one who actually kills the ring. Frodo, the whole movie, the whole 3 movies in the books, is him traveling to the Crack of Doom with his friend Sam and the Fellowship early in the first film, and to destroy the ring. And he capitulates right when he's at the edge. He says, "The ring is mine." And then Gollum comes in, bites his finger off, and Gollum falls in happy as the last ring bearer. But at the end, Frodo has to kind of exile himself in a way that Bilbo did. So there's you gain something. It's like a hero's journey. You gain something from the journey. You learn something at the end. You return home, but you have to lose something else. And that is something that's not true of Harry Potter. And Harry Potter is just very bureaucratic. Like Happily Ever After, fairy tale. For adults that love fairy tales, like it's just a fairy tale. Like it's a Disney story. There's nothing more complex about it. We get in here, and this room's kind of cool, right? We have it's kind of like, it's like Haunted Mansion, and then they have this in the Forbidden Journey. They have moving paintings, I think, right? So there's a bust of and these are the Ministers of Magic, I presume, in the past, because I saw Cornelius Fudge. This guy moves and talks. Cool effect. Looks like actual. I don't know how they do that effect. I don't know if it's projection mapping or something. And then, Cornelius Fudge. This is a cool effect here, is that this is a cleaning robot, magical cleaning robot. Again, there's so much detail in this. And I understand why it costs so much. And I like this for the queue, but I'm just having an issue with the whole theming of the ride. This was one of the most realistic animatronics I've seen, which is an elf. Looks like a girl Dobby. I don't know all these creatures, and she's talking.
Welcome, stars and misses, to the Ministry of Magic.
So she's writing down, and it looks very realistic, very dynamic, very lifelike. And I think this is Dolores Umbridge's. I don't know what this is. I don't really know what this is, but some sort of office. Corinthian columns. And then I did that ride, and I got out, and there's Celestial Park at night. There's Stardust Racers at night, very beautiful. And then I went to Nintendo World at night, which is very cool too. Like anytime going at night, the use of lights is very cool. There's Bowser's Castle, and that's eventually going to be where I went on the Mario Kart ride. But Donkey Kong Country is essentially a different land. You go in here, and then you immediately, instead of the Mario music, you immediately get the Donkey Kong music. And we have the use of palm trees that's very tropical. And there's Cranky Kong. Right? He's in the line for the Minecart Madness ride.
Bottom line is, we're all in big trouble if the Tiki Taps take the golden banana.
So that's a great voice. The animatronics, and he's plush. And it's a good animatronic. These are the best use of animatronics I've ever seen. If you love animatronics, you're going to love Epic Universe. And their history of using motion simulators and screens in the 2010s, Universal kind of wanted to go against that and say, no, we're going the other way. We're going the other way. We're going to have all these practical effects. And they did that with the Ministry of Magic, definitely, and the Monsters Unchained. And I'm happy for that. And they're beating Disney World at that game. This little parrot here, I'd probably has a name, and then I don't really know Donkey Kong too well. But the designs look animated. And I do think Nintendo is something that is kind of universal in a way. Some of the Eternal Mario is... he's been around for 30 years now. Everyone knows who Mario is. They might not know who Cranky Kong is, but you get this idea. This is something that might not age as well. I don't know if Donkey Kong and Mario will stay. I don't know if Nintendo will be as popular forever. So if I had to say the parts of the park that'll age the best, besides Stardust Racers, because that's just a roller coaster. Roller coasters without theming just work well. Again, Expedition Everest, which I did ride in the same trip, it's not going to age. That's still a great ride, and everyone can understand. Everyone knows what a Yeti is. I'd say Dark Universe is what ages the best, because those monsters have been around forever, and the idea of a crazy haunted mansion is something that we'll always understand. Everyone knows Dracula. It's been around for over 100 years. Frankenstein, we all know. All those but it mixes it with the new, with some science fiction elements. And then probably Olive Burke, even though the How to Train Your Dragon series May not be as eternal as Nintendo, but the idea of dragons is eternal. But Mario and these coins, these are not something that people are necessarily. If you bring your 60-year-old mother or grandmother, not going to completely understand everything here. And then you go to that was a very fun ride. You have to find a golden banana, and you go on a minecart, and they have the simulation, the effect of going over a track. Like in Donkey Kong Country, there's a level where you go over a track. You're going over water, so it's another use of water. And there's points where they divert you. I would say this ride feels a lot like Thunder Mountain in the way that it is jerky, but I think it's meant to be jerky. But it goes very quick. It's like Thunder Mountain, but with Donkey Kong. Again, that's a good picture of Donkey Kong Country. Let's see what else is here. I might have to go back to... Okay, this is me on my second day, and I got to ride. Let's go here, because this is... Yeah, so you'll see, that, which is really cool, though, the bathrooms are themed. It's the underwater world. Underwater levels of the Super Mario games. Darkmoor. This is much better at night. I just wanted to get it out of the way first because the line was super short. Better lighting, very eerie. Be very interesting if they use this for Halloween Horror Nights. And that looks beautiful, right? And there's the Burning Blade Tavern, which I forgot to take a picture of, which is a tavern with a windmill that's always on fire. For a lot of times it's on fire, which is a very cool effect. And this is cool too. So we see the Frankenstein Manor, and we see those lights again, and we see the red in that vapor. And the lighting is orange. It's very dark. So this is a much better experience. I'm so happy I went this way again. And from the other side here, you can see that is Victoria Frankenstein with the use of a chandelier here. We have ribbed vaults that come together. It might be a groin vault too. Corinthian columns with the brick. And this was a very cool effect that I had. I'm not going to put again, this is the mix of the science fiction theme. So they assume this great-granddaughter, Victoria Frankenstein, has put in these high-tech things from the future to control her monsters. And this is lots of movement, very stimulating. The wires all around here. This is in one of the waiting areas in the queue. And I didn't have to spend much time in the queue because the lines were very long. I think this is a very cool effect. The juxtaposition between the high-tech wires, but it's not even like high tech. It's like science fiction in a way that will age well. It looks like kind of fantastical science fiction, and you have the portrait of Frankenstein, the great granddaughter. There we go. See from across the room her great grandfather, and there is Igor, and there's the Kuka arm system, right? And this is one of the pre-shows that I did not get to go the first time.
I sense fear in your hearts. You're right to be afraid. Darkness lies ahead.
Now he takes off that helmet and reveals to be Igor, which is a very funny part of the ride. I will show you this part. This is an amazing animatronic in the pre-show where Dr. Victoria Frankenstein shows you. There's like this 12-foot tall Frankenstein, realistic animatronic.
People are friends.
And he walks towards you. If you get on this ride, walk right, go in front. I was in the front line here, the front part of the line. There's Victoria Frankenstein.
Better than the original.
He kind of has a Hot Topic look with his torn pants, right? On my next day, I saw these little Pikmin. I'm in the line for Yoshi's Adventure, which is very cute, very relaxing ride. I'm on the ride here. You go into one of these vehicles like Dr. Seuss with two people, and you see the whole land. It's very cute and very good. It's for kids, but anyone's going to enjoy this. Anyone's going to enjoy this. And you have these little egg things that you have to click if you see eggs. Very sensory. Very good time for overstimulation. This was when I talked about it looking animated, this part of the Yoshi's Adventure looked like I was looking at the video game. Because look at this. This is an animatronic. It looks like it's animated. CGI. That's crazy. And I think it's the way that the lighting worked. And same with the Baby Mario. This whole thing looks like it's in the video game. This was very cool of an effect. And I kept clicking those buttons. Very cool part of the effect. There's one of the eggs. And like this guy here, this is like the desert world in in Mario. And you remember these things go out, and there's a cactus, and they have basically all the levels that you would have played in a Super Mario game are in this. there's me playing the bongos. I used to play the bongos in a steel drum, and this is in Donkey Kong Country. This is very fun. I love the tropical theme of Donkey Kong Country. I really like this land. Very similar to Adventureland and Magic Kingdom, right? Because they have some like tiki elements, but obviously like here kind of looks like the like outside of Enchanted Tiki Room where you'd buy a Dole Whip. And the use of thatching also is very cool in these parts of the rides. This is a place that this is now the second day on Sunday that my friend and I, he came and now I got to show in the park, which is, it's always fun to have a vicarious experience at a theme park. So you've been to a theme park and now you want to show it to everyone. This is a restaurant that we were advised to go to by a guest services person in the Harry Potter world. It's like, oh, it's a tavern where witches and wizards of old used to go and like, okay, we just want to eat. But the problem with Epic Universe here is that like you had to mobile order here, and we didn't really have our, my friend didn't have an app, and he didn't have an account. I did, but it's just, even if I had to type in my credit card information. This is just another example of Victoria Frankenstein, and back we were here again. We went twice that day. I went twice the first day, so I've been on this ride 4 times. I love this ride. This is in line for Mario Kart. Bowser's Challenge. You go into his castle, and this is a really cool queue too. Again, there's me wearing the little visor, but they make a lot of detail in this castle. There's me wearing the visor, and this was my least favorite ride. It's so complicated. There's so many rules. You don't know what you're doing. It's a VR headset, and I think it's going to age terribly. One problem here is that I did not know what I was doing at all. Like, it's virtual. I can't explain it, and the problem is there are some cool animatronics in this ride, and it would have maybe been a better dark ride than a game. And the VR is just not going to age well at all. It's just not. This is probably my least favorite ride, even though I love Nintendo World and I love Donkey Kong Country. So now I'm going to switch and show you kind of parts of that those 2 rides, the 2 most ambitious rides in this park, right? So that is going to be. I'm going to switch to Chrome for my capture. Here's a better picture of Stardust Racers, if you're curious. And this is, you see this from the side. There's Isle of Berk. So let's look at a little bit of. And these people are better at taking the cue than me. So I took down so you see it's flashing. This is right before you go into the pre-show. You see Igor there, and all these people are like, there's Igor animatronic, and this is in the ride, I believe. Do I have the Dr. Victoria Frankenstein? Okay, you're on a Kuka arm, right? And they do this in a much better way than Forbidden Journey, which is the first use of the Kuka arm, because you don't really go upside down, and you go fly flat your back, but there's not screens in front of you, so you don't get motion sickness at all. It's the best use of Kuka Harmonic technology. So in a way, like, I do not like that Forbidden Journey ride in 2025. It was cool maybe in 2011, but it was like considered like the most advanced ride. But it's like Universal needed to do that to get to this point. This is like the full realization of all the things they did at Hogsmeade in 2011. So here we have, this was like a very scary part of the ride. And these animatronics are so close to you. The Phantom is playing. When he looks at you the first time, you're scared, man. There's no jump scares. It's not like a haunted house at a haunted mansion. And then you go so close because the arm system makes you go very close. You're like right up. You feel like you can touch this lady, Victoria Frankenstein. Now there's again our friend Goth Frankenstein, Punk Frankenstein here. She has him under this control. But these Dracula animatronics are huge. And it does use screens, and I know people, don't like the use of screens. I don't, but they use the screens as enhancements behind these animatronics. These are so lifelike. They seem real, and those are the Brides of Frankenstein. That's one of the scariest parts too, is when you see Gilman, he just pops out, but it's not like. I think this would scare a little kid. But I don't think it would scare an adult that much. You get a little spooked. There he is. But again, this doesn't do it justice. I can't, this does not do it justice. But I just want to kind of go over. There's the part, use of screens. Maybe too much use of screens here. But you can't build an animatronic for everything. They're the biggest, most use of animatronics I've ever seen. You see these animatronics multiple times. So you're seeing Frankenstein like 3 times. There's Dracula again. This is an amazing ride. I wanted to ride it 4 times, and I did ride it 4 times. And Battle of the Ministry, again, we are... So let's see what it looks like to go through these portals. The Flu Network, there is the portal, and it's going to light up green, and there's going to be water vapor, and now you've time traveled 70 years in the future to 1990s London. Yay, 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 yay. Convoluted story. I mean, you can watch these yourself, but I just want to show you my thoughts of them. Oh, there's, what's his name? Mad-Eye Moody, right? The Aurors. I didn't even notice him when I was on the ride. Okay. You go on this elevator ride. Like, it looks like Tower of Terror, exactly like that. And I rode Tower of Terror on my Sunday morning to compare it, and I have concluded that Tower of Terror is a better elevator ride, even though it doesn't have the fancy tech. You don't need the new tech all the time, right? So you get on the ride, but the scale of this ride, the optical illusions they use, kind of like Haunted Mansion would have been in the 70s. Like, how do they do that? You wonder how they do that. They make the rooms bigger than they are, like that. Like, it does look realistic. It's a use of screens, and we have Harry, Ron, and Hermione are there with you on their elevator. There's Dolores Umbridge with a Death Eater. The Death Eater animatronic looks very real, and this is a huge ride. It's just a huge ride. It cost a lot of money. You think that's real, and you do have good hologram effects here, good effects with the black smoke. It just wasn't as good as the Dark Universe ride. It's just almost like too much. And you go to the Department of Magical Creatures, so of course they're going to give you a cool, these are video part, right? I don't know the name of that goblin or whatever, the elf, whatever they are. And there's this rhinoceros creature. It probably has a name in the book, but I have no idea what the name is. I just know it as a rhinoceros, and eventually he's going to come down, and you're going to see an animatronic of him, and this is kind of like a motion simulator. And eventually, we see this huge animatronic of him, which is cool. That is pretty cool, right? I thought. Okay, all right, we get it. She's evil. Time Turners, we get it. And then eventually, the Harry Potter millennials get their retcon adventure and get to send her to Azkaban. Just like, yes, we got her. Like, what ride ends with a bureaucratic trial? Like, no, I'm a bad woman. I was mean to Harry. Now I go to prison. Like, come on. And in this age, come on. Criminal justice reform. Okay. Final thoughts. Oh, what I will say is, like, you think about some of these crazy endings you have in rides. In Mr. Toad's Wild Adventure, you end up in hell for drunk driving. Like, there are better endings to rides. That's a crazy that is a kid's ride and has existed for 70 years, since 1955 in Disneyland. Okay. Epic Universe is an amazing park. Even though despite my critiques of Harry Potter, maybe that's just because I'm personally annoyed with having so much Harry Potter. I would have much rather have a Lord of the Rings land, which they talked about and has been rumored at Universal Studios Britain. That would have been new IP, something that hasn't been done before. But they went with not only Harry Potter, but a part of Harry Potter that no one knows. Or will definitely not know in 10, 15 years. But this park is doing Disney in a way that Disney hasn't done in a long time. I love this park. I really loved it. Exceeded and met my expectations because I had really high expectations. But the only thing that did not meet my expectations was Ministry of Magic. But I was doubtful going in that this was overhyped. And I was like, how the hell is this going to defeat Monsters Unchained? But I went to Alan's Adventure the next night, and Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure is just kind of unbeatable. But that does not mean this park has like the best lineup I think most parks have. If you think about like what's the median quality of a ride, might be like Donkey Kong Country. That's a great middle ride to have. I love this park, and you should go as soon as possible. And the reason why I realized that I'm starting to like Universal Resort is that it makes it easy for the guests. So it's much more straightforward than Disney. Disney, you have to like do lightning lanes and lightning lane rides that you want to do. It's like, it looks cheap because it's $20 for 3 rides. And you're like, Universal's expensive because I have to pay $150 and stay at a hotel. And it's like $20 at Disney World. I get 3 rides. Yeah, but the problem was I wanted to do that at Hollywood Studios at a thin window of time. I thought, listen, I'll get the lightning lane pass for Hollywood Rock and Roller Coaster. Maybe I can ride Rise of the Resistance. But I couldn't do that. Because when I was about to buy the lightning lane, it's like, come back at 3 p.m. to ride the Rock and Roller Coaster and 7 p.m. for the Tower of Terror. No, that ruins your whole day. I want the Universal Express Pass when I can decide when I want to go on every ride. And obviously Express Pass doesn't work yet for this, but I essentially had an Express Pass for my weekend. Sunday was a little bit busier. And if you're going to go as soon as possible. It's just so convoluted at Disney World. And there's a sense that like, if you're not doing it the Disney way, you're like shamed by the people that work at the hotel in a way, right? And if you're not planning 3 months in advance, you might just get screwed. You're not going to be able to ride Slinky Dog Dash at Hollywood Studios. And even if you rope drop and stay at a Disney and do everything right, you got to wait an hour at Rise of the Resistance, or 70 minutes at Slinky Dog Dash, or 70 minutes at the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in the morning. For the average tourist in Orlando that wants to go to a theme park, it has become such that, Disney World is a better collection of rides because it's on the sum of everything. It's very good. 4 theme parks, 2 water parks. Universal has 3 theme parks, 1 water park. And it's not contained, but they make it easier for you. If you want to pay money, may have a more expensive trip to have a good experience with faster lines, you can do that. It's straightforward. Buy this pass or stay at one of our hotels and you get all that stuff. Disney, it's convoluted. And you have people that are such Disney like experts and freaks that they plan everything out. What I love about going to theme parks is that it can be like spur of the moment. If you live in Florida and driving distance, obviously it can't be that spur of a moment if you have to fly here. But living in Florida, you can go spur of the moment whenever you want. If you're willing to spend the money. And I literally went to Epic Universe just the day of. I drove up. I decided at 12 p.m. and I was there at 4, right? So that's fun about this. That's what I don't want to have to plan my day and be like an industrial engineer, like running an assembly line, making sure I do everything at a perfect time at Disney World. You don't have to do this. And I had a lot of time to relax at this park. Maybe if you're here, stay 2 days, make sure you do everything. And it's just a fun park to walk around in. And the lands are big. There's a lot of space. This is a very beautiful park. And I don't know where I would rank it right now because right now it's my number 1, but in a year, I don't know what it'll be. I don't know how to rank it right now because of recency bias. I do love Animal Kingdom. I do love Magic Kingdom. I'll probably stop loving Magic Kingdom once they fill in the Rivers of America. I love Epcot. I love Islands of Adventure. But this park is special, and it's a park that we need in 2025. It's timeless, but also of the future in a way. Most shown by the Frankenstein Manor. But that's all I have to say. Dark Universe, Monsters Unchained has now entered the pantheon of my favorite rides in the world. Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, that ride is like, if I could teleport to any ride and just get on it, it would be that ride at any moment. So it's Hagrid's, and I don't really know how to place all these because Hagrid's is so different. Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure and Islands of Adventure, Rise of the Resistance in Hollywood Studios, and it would also be Monsters Unchained in Epic Universe, my top 3 rides of all time. And obviously there's timeless rides that are always going to be great, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Peter Pan's Flight, and Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. But those rides right now are advanced, but they're also timeless. So it's of the future, but they're also timeless in a way. Maybe less so, Rise of the Resistance, but it's just like that has so many, such a long ride with so many different diverse parts of it that you can't knock it. I didn't watch anything past The Force Awakens, but I loved it. But that's it. I love Epic Universe, and if you like theme parks, you will as well.